Good Thursday evening, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center with this live update. Taking a look here at the satellite imagery, we have a couple systems we're paying close attention to. Tropical depression number 13 as we look further out in the Atlantic Basin. And we also have tropical depression 14 here, closer here in toward the Caribbean. So we have to watch both of them. I'll get into more details on these systems here in a few minutes. But right now, let's go ahead and kind of switch gears a little bit. We're going to go over to the current Doppler radar imagery across North Florida and South Georgia and track some of the things that are happening in our backyards right now. We'll keep our eyes on the tropics, of course, and get into that in more detail here pretty soon. So I just want to keep that in the back of your mind. There's a lot going on there in the tropics, as we have a lot to deal with here with that overall picture. But right now, in terms of the current radar imagery, we have some accent down toward Flagler County, for instance. You see some shower accent there. Shower and thunderstorms there, even some hail being indicated. Might get a severe thunderstorm warning as this is getting near that inch criteria, maybe even a little bit larger according to some signatures here, and some wind also showing up there near the Flagler St. Johns County line. So we'll watch that. We're watching some of the other accent here as we get further up toward the north as well. So just kind of stay tuned here. Southern Duval County, you see some wind energy there as well. And in southern Georgia up toward Ware County, we have some heavier downpours showing in toward those spots too. Your GR Earth computer showing you the temperature trends. You see cooler weather toward Tallahassee. We haven't really had any severe weather today. We were under a marginal risk, still under a marginal risk. In fact, as I'll pop that up on the screen here just for a second, you'll be able to though kind of understand that these temperatures here have kind of suppressed activity a little, as we didn't get as many breaks in the sun or breaks in the clouds there to get that sun to come on out as we looked out toward Tallahassee. So we'll just have to kind of watch to see how those trends do come together for tomorrow as well. But even tonight, you see some warmer temperatures on the first coast. Could still get some isolated severe storms in toward this area, the Jacksonville, Gainesville region I'm talking about. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's pop up our radar scope computer. We'll switch you over to that here in just a second. We'll switch gears in toward that software and see what is happening a little bit more on a micro scale level, and you'll be able to kind of see here there's even a warning that just popped on the board here for Flagler and St. John's, for instance. That's one of them, and then another one down toward the south as well. So that's just kind of loading on the one computer. The other I have it clicked off because I had satellite on, but there's the warning for St. John's and for Flagler. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, penny-sized hail until about 7:30. The area we were watching, St. Augustine Beach, Marineland there. Also Crescent Beach, St. Augustine Shores, Butler Beach, Volano Beach, St. Augustine South, Anastasia and DuPont Center. And we're still getting the other system there to come on up. We're having a little bit of an issue here with some of these cities not coming up quite right, but we're going to go ahead and try to transition you over to that now as this information is starting to pop on the screen just right now, and you'll be able to see what is happening here a little bit better. You see some of these indicators here of some hail around, and you see that lightning popping on the screen as well. So definitely something to be cognizant of here on a Thursday evening. You just want to be aware that when thunder roars, you want to go indoors, but waited all day for our first severe thunderstorm warning, and now we're getting that here as we're looking toward Flagler and St. Johns counties. We're going to continue to watch exactly what is happening here. They're talking about a severe storm in the chat as well. It's entering southern St. Johns County, just southwest there of I-95. So we're going to keep a close eye on it for sure. And again, we are still looking at I kind of moved a few things around here. You see that warning just popping on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead and pop back on camera now, and we'll go ahead and talk more about what is going on here. And with this severe weather, again, a severe thunderstorm warning for the St. Augustine area. It's not for this storm here, but it's for this storm to the south. A severe thunderstorm warning about 7:30 this evening. We're continuing to watch. And we're talking about the tropics too, of course, with that logo being red in the corner. I'll get more to that here in a moment. First off, a camera tour across the region now. Let's take you on a little bit of a tour at how things look here across the area. The baseball grounds in toward Jacksonville kind of tells the story. You can see here, seeing that sun and cloud cover kind of mix a little bit. Some storms on the south side of Jacksonville, for instance. So just some storms in the general vicinity there. We're continuing to watch, and we're going to continue to check in here with some of these views. Another one in toward Tallahassee, where they've had some more rain around earlier, but right now things a little bit better there. Still some of that cloud cover hanging around, though, kind of suppressing some of that activity even. So that's just kind of the story in terms of the WeatherStem tour there. Let's go ahead. We'll switch you back over here toward the overall radar view. Again, the severe weather we're watching now, back to the tropics. Tropical climatology really does tell the story here about the time of year we're getting into now. As we get towards September 10th, that's the busiest time of year, and that's where we're headed. As we see here, getting really high on this graphic, you have a higher chance for this axis to be around. So it's imperative to be watching here, having that hurricane kit up to date. And we have a couple systems to talk about here. Tropical depression number 13, maximum sustained winds at about 35 miles an hour, moving off toward the west-northwest at about 21 miles per hour. That minimum central pressure there, 1,008 millibars. You see tropical storm watches toward Puerto Rico as well. We'll continue to watch here as you see a hurricane potentially evolving out of this as it moves toward Florida as we get later toward the weekend and early next week. So we'll have to be paying especially close attention here to this action, because the conditions could be pretty favorable here for some things to get going. You're just, again, want to have the hurricane kit up to date. We're not sure what's really going to happen as we get later on, because some models really ramp this up quickly, and that's really the reason I turned to logo red as we head into a weekend. I don't want people to be caught off guard on Monday with maybe a hurricane hitting Florida, but in some other model data, it's kind of telling a story that this might not evolve very much at all, and that's in part because of another system here that we're tracking, which I'll get to here in just a moment. Now we do have on the Saffir-Simpson wind scale, the expectation right now is this to be a Category 1 hurricane, and that would indicate some damage. We saw what Isaias did as we moved up toward the east coast there, so you don't have to have a catastrophic storm to still have some big-time issues. So we'll watch to see how the forecast changes, because the models are all over the place in intensity. Track not as much, but intensity, they're literally all over the place, from not much of an impact to a huge impact in some regard, either with wind and or rain, maybe some flooding rains, because steering currents there might become a little less defined as we look ahead, and that could cause some issues with a slower movement. And same with depression 14, as I was alluding to, it could have an impact on 13, could impact the overall environment and the movement, even with the maybe Fujiwara effect trying to come into play. Hopefully that doesn't, just for the overall fact. That's something we rarely see and make the forecast track even kind of questionable here, because the two storms have kind of become locked together in that their movement would kind of follow based on what one does, the other would do something based on that overall movement. So this is our other depression moving toward Texas, maybe the stronger tropical storm the official forecast has it right now, as we get toward Tuesday at about 2 o'clock or so. The Houston area will need to be watching this carefully, as well as toward Lake Charles, and even just anywhere in this corner of concern, because there's quite a bit of uncertainty here. It's just unusual to have two systems like this evolving. I know back in 04 we had two systems we were watching with Bonnie and Charlie. Hopefully we don't have a system like Charlie evolving out of either one of these two, but we just have to stay tuned. It's unusual to see a situation again with systems evolving this close in time frames, so we'll have to just continue to monitor the situation. Now, as we look here, 40% chance of development as we get out toward the 5-day probability for a system coming off of Africa as well. So not just two systems we're watching, we're paying attention to a third here as well. We just need to be on guard. Now, Laura, Marco, and then maybe even getting toward Nana on the list as we look ahead in this hurricane season. You just want to stay safe out there, as things will be really ramping on up the peak season, as I've been alluding to. So again, we're watching now. We're watching the local weather picture. Here we've had that severe thunderstorm warning pop up for parts of Flagler and St. Johns counties there, and now we have a risk area for tomorrow as well, a marginal risk in play. Damaging winds a possibility, so just have to be ready when you hear that thunder roar. You want to go indoors. and we'll keep our eyes on everything that goes along with that. And again, we're watching the tropics closely. That's the biggest takeaway, I think, out of this extended forecast. I didn't really focus too much on the numbers here. I'm just really wanting you to focus on the tropics because there's a lot of uncertainty on. We could have a big impact, especially out toward Tallahassee. That's what it seems in some of the model data. But other models, this is not so much at all there. So just a lot of variability. Stay tuned. We're just going to cut it as necessary here is what I'm going to say for now as we look ahead toward tomorrow and the weekend, just because I don't want to set anything in stone too much until we get a better handle of this, how this evolves. You just want to stay tuned. You see these temperatures here warming on up in terms of those highs, those lows here, maybe warming up a little bit as well, as we might have a little bit of a lessening in those rain chances. Tallahassee forecast pretty much the same, but a lot of things really depend on the tropics here as we look ahead. So just stay tuned. I can't emphasize that enough here. You don't want to be caught off guard going into the weekend because things could be dramatically different here. As we head into Monday, we could have a really serious system impacting South Florida first off, and then maybe moving across here the state, or we could have a system that's not doing much at all. And then, of course, the watching of the weather isn't as important, but it's just too much uncertainty right now to let your guard down. Is a very key takeaway here on your Thursday. We are watching that storm down towards St. Augustine, St. Johns County, Marineland here as well. That's a severe warned area. So let's go ahead and switch you back over right now to our other system. We'll go ahead and talk about what is going on there as we do continue to watch that warning that remains in effect here until about 7:30 tonight. You see this area here. It's west of Marineland right now. The winds are not that impressive, and that's good news. And if this stays the case, I might just go ahead and wrap up the update. That's pretty much I would normally do, maybe going just a little longer here with this severe information at the end. But if this ramps up, I'll probably stick with this a little longer. Hail indicator showing something, but it's not showing as significant as it was, at least on that product and that system. This other system here also not showing too significant, and that's some good news. Let's pop that on near areas like Dinner Island, for instance. So you're seeing hail up to about 0.8 of an inch in diameter, but that's not quite severe hail, and that's good news. But the Weather Service warning more for the 60-mile-per-hour wind threat than anything here. As we look ahead towards St. Augustine, St. Johns County here, going to be bearing the brunt of this as it is really moving away from Flagler. The worst of this cell, the worst of this activity. The severe thunderstorm warning continues here for northwestern Flagler, southeastern St. Johns until 7:30. At 6:45, a severe thunderstorm was located 7 miles west of Marineland, or 10 miles northwest there of Palm Coast, moving north at 20 miles an hour. So we're talking about St. Augustine Beach, also getting toward Marineland, Crescent Beach, St. Augustine Shores, and also even toward Volcano Beach and Anastasia. And they just cleared out Flagler, it looks like, from the warning, but it continues for St. John. So we'll see this polygon change here in just a second once that information comes into our system here. But Flagler being cleared out, as I was just talking about, as we watch this axis move more towards St. Johns County here. And you see this cell, this right over Interstate 95 here. So some blinding downpours, a possibility in this area as we even look at the hail track. Kind of interesting to see that more. This hail track doesn't even look like it's really hitting on the right area at this point as I'm kind of going between the two tools. So that's some good news. It looks like we're not really getting much near Dinner Island actually, which is interesting. We're seeing more of this north of Dinner Island. I think that might be a false signature in there as I look a little bit closer. Now, the other axis we're watching near the land when Troy got hard hit. There's a severe thunderstorm warning in that area till 7:30 outside of the viewing area. We'll watch to see how that holds together or maybe Flagler in a little bit. It is also moving off toward the north here. So we're watching this axis here in toward southern St. John's. Could still be some hail here. I know the hail indicator is not showing up very clearly, but that bright purple on the screen is indicative of some type of threat there. We'll pop up radar scope again as we get the latest information here on that software. You'll be able to see a different perspective again at what is going on as we are continuing to follow things very carefully. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning in Pueblo 7:30 for St. Johns County. We're talking about this right in here, and this software is showing hail about a 1/2 inch in size. So not maybe severe hail, but we're continuing to watch things very carefully as they do matriculate, as they do move further off toward the north. So we'll be just wanting to keep everybody tuned to what is happening here in towards St. Johns County. The wind energy didn't look too impressive a moment ago, and I'll check it again here. And as I get in, it's not very impressive, and that's good news. We're a little ways away from the radar site, but we're only getting winds there in maybe that 30-mile-per-hour range. So that's some good news here. Hopefully that's about all that's reaching the surface. We don't want to have any damage, of course. So I feel pretty comfortable. Not that you want to feel too comfortable in this area, but I feel pretty comfortable. This isn't an extremely significant type severe storm here. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the coverage for now. If we need to come back on, we will. But this is a heads up if you're in toward Crescent Beach. If you're toward Butler Beach, St. Augustine Shores, St. Augustine South, even St. Augustine, who's already getting a storm now, and that might kind of allow the storm to weaken as it goes further north into maybe a more stable atmosphere. That's something that we'll have to watch for as well. So hopefully this action kind of dies on down some. It could also have an interaction here, and that could create maybe a storm that tries to intensify. We'll just have to wait and see, but it doesn't look too robust at the present time, and that's the good news. So I think, again, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'll pop up on the camera one more time here on your Thursday evening. We're going to move away from radar scope now. So again, I'll pop up on the camera here, and you'll be able to see that storm axis toward the south there. And again, we're watching the tropics here as well. I'm going to leave you with one last look here at Tropical Depression number 13, because we need to pay attention to it. And of course, I'll break in as necessary as we get toward that weekend time frame, as things could be pretty active here as we are looking. You see Tropical Storm Watch for Puerto Rico. You see maybe a hurricane impacting South Florida Monday, getting in the Gulf there, maybe impacting parts of North Florida on Tuesday here. So we have to just pay attention. Hopefully this doesn't happen. Hopefully it's a less significant situation and it doesn't evolve into more than what it's assuming right now as a Category 1 storm, and maybe just be quite a bit weaker based on some other model indications. So we just need to watch and wait here, and that's what I'll be doing in the Weather Center. For now, meteorologist Casey Cloud, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll back as necessary, but otherwise, if I don't have to come back today, I'll just go ahead and wish you a great night.